I always tell people there's two worlds. The streets is a different world. In the city of Newark, carjackings and murders, and sometimes I wake up and it's like, how much of a difference am I really making? Stop ball! Stop ball! I want to win the championship too, but I want people to go to college. I don't just want to win and ain't nobody going to college. What's the for? People don't understand. If you don't have a plan, the streets have a plan out there for you.
I'm smiling and welcome back to Deadline Part 2. I'm here with a coach, mentor, and former basketball player, Shawn "Snoop" McCray, that is entrepreneur, author, a basketball coach, and most importantly, a beacon of light for the youth, beacon of light for the young people that he deals with on a daily, consistent basis. Going right back to it. My question to you now is this laboring what you do to young people now, or is it you only giving back what was given to you, and it's fulfilling, very fulfilling?
No, it is very fulfilling. I used to run into a lot of problems when people used to say, I used to hear things, he only giving back because of the stuff that he did in the community. He don't really care about those kids. And I used to shake that stuff off. Yeah, I'm serious, because, they got caught up in the Zoo Crew madness, and what happened with that. And I always tell people, I had my first team when I was 16 years old. I organized the kids in my community. My brother is 7 years younger than me. So when I was 16, he was 9. So I used to hang in New Community, a complex here in Newark that wasn't far from where I lived.
When I say old New Community,
the blue
that
doors,
was a
the blue buildings and all.
That was
I remember
a community within itself.
Yeah, so I used to hang over there. So one day I was over there playing basketball, and the guy, Ladio, his name was, he was the program director, I guess, for the recreation in New Community. And he said they're starting a league, and they're gonna have a draft with kids in New Community. And I asked him, I said, well, I have some kids in my neighborhood, can I bring them to play in the league? And he said, yeah. So I'm 16, I'm playing my own self, and I went back, I organized some kids, Fairview Homes, which was built right across the street from where I was living, and I organized 12 kids, and we would walk to the community and play in that summer league. 2 summers. The first summer we won the championship. The second summer we lost in the championship. The third summer I was already on my way to college, so I couldn't really compete in the league. But I had a team when I was 16 years old. We practiced in Cleveland Playground. I had no gym. I mean, it's summertime, so it wasn't too bad. We were in Cleveland, West Kenny Playground, and Newton Street Playground, because that was in New Community, so that's where the league was, at Newton Street. So I used to get these kids up on Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock was practice. And whatever was taught to me by my coaches at St. Rocco's, my coach at St. Benedict's, I used that with those kids. Whatever drills they did with me, I did with them. And I always tell people, I had a team when I was 16 years old. I'm not doing this because I was in the streets. I was doing this before that. So this probably was always my calling. I just fell off the boat a little bit and tried to figure life out and came back to what I was doing.
Well, would you say that you didn't fall off the boat because if you wouldn't have went through where you are, would you be where you are now is the question.
I don't know. And I always tell people,
I think you do know.
I would never change anything.
Because you're constantly, continuously telling that to individuals that you see yourself in daily, over and over and over again. And as we did with our parents, or whoever the male was at that time, if it wasn't your father, not you, any of us, white, black, or whatever, they can tell you who you're going to be because they've been there.
Right.
But our mothers iterated and emphasized to us, show me your friends, and I'll show you what you're going to be.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Now, the same thing that There's an old proverb that speaks about, they'll say, well, how you doing today? Same old milk, just a different taste.
Right.
Now, that happened in 84 and in 85 when hip-hop was still considered a back burner culture, even music-wise. What's the difference that you grew up in more so than me with hip-hop that you see different today than then, except for the fact that they labored, and would carry cases of albums or whatever else to parties, besides for the facelift aspect, from a culture perspective, what have you seen that's been watered down and omitted?
And I'm an avid fan of hip hop, and back then when I was coming up, everything was conscious. It was conscious rap. It was more like community for the people, like KRS-One, Run DMC, you know, Eric B. and Rakim. It was just MC Light, like just the artists. The music wasn't like it is now. Everything is, you know, hurt one another. You know, the music you listen to is about degrading women. Like, that wasn't the sound when I was growing up, you know.
Is that when you was older it changed?
Towards the late 90s, yeah, early 2000s, I think that's when the music really, you know, you had to, you know, people complained about NWA,
You're
Ice
educating
Cube.
me now.
Yeah, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, you know, they had the group NWA. People laid them as gangster rap. I didn't think it was gangster rap. They spoke about the things that was going on in their community.
Okay.
And I don't think people wanted that to get out. You know, like they had a song called F the Police, and they talking about what the police do to people in their community.
Once they're apprehended.
Or even before that, you know, just harassing you and doing things to you. And
but that also happened in America now.
No,
all urban cities all over America.
Right.
You do.
That's why people relate it to the music.
But people don't understand, or you try to be funneled in the fact that there are white slums too, and trailer homes, and they attest to that music too. That's what I wanted to piggyback on.
And I don't think they wanted people to understand what's going on in those communities. Even with you know, I was an avid KRS-One fan because he spoke
very, very
consciousness.
Very
then Tupac came along, and I was a Tupac fan because I felt the things that he was saying, and just to listen to him in interviews. And
get deep, because that's, to me, going two different ways.
Right.
I know a little bit about both of them. I know Chris personally, and it's like, now what I want to say, stay there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw the Ghetto Boys in the middle.
Oh, I love the Ghetto Boys.
No. I done gave you three avenues. I want you, that's your time. I knew of them and would drive to work listening to the Ghetto Boys. Now, no, and KRS occasionally, but Tupac, that was on something different. But the Ghetto Boys and KRS, I can attest to them.
Right, it was two different forms of hip hop, but the message was the same. They just came across differently. Ghetto Boys a little bit more aggressive and raunchy with it. KRS broke it down, you know, with like, you really had to listen to what he's saying. Now, Ghetto Boys, if you in the community and you listening to Ghetto Boys, you're like, oh, yeah. And it's like, you know, even though they use a lot of profanity and aggression in their lyrics and their rap, there was a message in it. And then Tupac, there was another message, but poetic, and it came from his upbringing with the Black Panther Party, being that his mother was a Panther. So he saw different things and brought it to light. And I think when it changed, man, because I didn't think
That's your time. You have to explain for us.
Right, but I don't think
when did you
people
see it?
wanted at 25, 26, and that's what I'm saying. At that time, we were conscious to what was going on in America because the music we listened to talked about it, about the things that was being done wrong to poor Americans, underprivileged people.
Well, let me ask this: Is America
Mm-hmm.
and urban America two different things?
Definitely. And
Explain.
It
You got to go. You got to go
But
there.
it says that in the intro, man. Like I said, I tell people it's two worlds. You know, you may be living in one world. I mean, you worked in the justice system. You worked in the system, so you saw it from another perspective. But you probably didn't know them guys in the community.
I did.
Okay, so because you're
So
from Newark, so
that's
you saw
why
some.
I didn't have. Let me say this here. When I came into law enforcement from Newark Sheriff to the prison system as an officer, 30 years, the athlete, as you know, even when you came through, you had a card. You could go everywhere. Because you was an athlete.
You was an athlete.
In this town and wherever else you went. It didn't matter about your color or whatever. Right. In the penal system, if you were an athlete and respected, and you saw someone that you competed against, the respect was still there,
Mm-hmm.
but they just had to pay their debt to society for what they did.
Right.
And you would try to convey to them that they can still utilize that God-given talent, because it's a God-given talent
Right.
in all aspects, not only sports just per se, to help someone else that you see yourself in. That's the difference of a lot of officers now, and then is that we played on the streets, even up to your time.
Mm-hmm.
So we interacted in different cities,
right.
whereas now, I'll say as of the last 10 years, and with the COVID, the isolation of being able to connect, reflect, orchestrate, organize, fellowship was abolished. So I only know you from abroad.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot meet and eat. We cannot meet and greet. We can't congregate at the 7-Eleven or Salvation Army. Can't do any of them things now. So you really don't know who's who. You see one facet here on the court, but you don't see them no more. Whereas during that time, I think you can speak of this. I'll give an example. Snap. Remember Snap? It's from Shabazz.
Wait, Snap.
He ended up dying.
Oh, yeah, he
Snap.
was an officer. Yeah,
now,
yeah.
Snap grew up under me like you. Heck of a baseball player. More of a baseball player than basketball. And he was a community guy. We were community guys, so everybody in our community knew us. And then we would go abroad and compete in different things every place else.
Right.
Whereas now, it's different if you don't compete and know people in your neighborhood because everyone is locked in. So that's the difference that I see the component in some, not all cops, not all law enforcement, is that there's a certain compassion that you have to have, not only for the person that's paying your salary, but from and of and about your community.
Right.
That's really heavy for me. Now, let's run from that there with the hip hop and things of that magnitude now to, you got a couple of kids that have went to college, D1 through 3, that have finished and have come back. How's it going with those kids?
Well, that's when, I deal with a lot of kids. Like, with my program, there's no tryouts. If your kid wants to play, we'll take them.
Stay right there. We had to try out and get cut.
Well, high school, at Central, I have to have tryouts. I'm talking about my Zukru program.
Okay.
I don't have to have tryouts if your kid, but it's not all basketball. I always say it's more than basketball because everybody's not a basketball player.
True.
Sometimes the parent brings the kid because the kid needs some type of discipline, some type of mentorship, and we offer that as well, but it's through basketball. Now, once it's over and you say, oh, he's messing up in school now, come here, let me talk to you. Now the mentorship comes in. But we got you on
Because you have a relationship with the child.
You have a relationship with the child.
And the parent.
And the parent. And as the child grows, some of them say, this is not for me, I'm not going to do basketball. But you've captured them for that year or two, that 6 months, however long they was with you.
Because you didn't quit.
Because you
so
didn't
now
quit.
you use that to whatever endeavors you're going to.
Right. And on my Central staff, I have 2 coaches, Darnell Mangan and Dow Harvey.
Dow Harvey?
Junior. Yes.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's his dad. Baseball?
Darryl Harvey and myself went to school. He stayed on Avon. I stayed on 19. Everybody else in the neighborhood went to West Side.
Okay.
We went to Weequahic. Now I'm Mustangs, he's South Ward.
Okay.
We always competed against each other. He's got out a year ahead of me in Weequahic. Darryl Harvey.
Baseball,
Harvey?
Right? Yeah, senior. I have Darryl Harvey
Baseball,
Jr.
football, basketball.
That's his son.
Weequahic.
His son went to Seton Hall Prep out of Hawthorne Avenue.
He went to Seton Hall, his father.
Well, the son went there too.
Are you serious?
Won a TOC in basketball with Brandon Costner and I forgot the other guard they had up there.
Let me
But
tell you something.
he's on my staff.
Let me tell you something.
And he played for me for Zukru.
His father, his grandfather, was a class act. His grandmother, class act. His aunt, oh gosh, I can't think of her name right now. The whole family and his Uncle Keith, class act. His father, so gifted, it was unfair. They wanted to take him out of high school in his junior year, and he chose to stay. Him and Ronnie Felton, I know you heard of Ronnie.
Yeah.
Ronnie hitting, him pitching. What?
Yeah, son went to college, went to Hofstra for baseball.
That just sprung something when you said Darryl Harvey Jr.
Yeah.
His father unfortunately passed. We worked at Northern State together.
Okay. Yeah, so that's one of my coaches, and he played in my program from 8th grade until, he graduated high school. And my other coach is Darnell Mangan. He coaches football at Irvington. He used to be the head football coach at Barringer. He coached at Weequahic. He played at Westside, and he's one of my top assistant. He's been with me since I've been head coach since '06. As soon as I got the job, I hired him as my JV coach because he was volunteering when Coach Blue was the coach and I was the assistant coach. So when I got the job, I made him my head coach. I made my JV coach.
Well, again, are you a devil or a blue devil? I told you I was going to get you.
I'm a blue
Now
devil.
all of Central is listening. Are you a blue devil or are you a devil?
I'm a blue devil, man.
Okay.
I'm a blue devil.
He's vindicated himself.
Yeah, I'm a blue devil.
He's vindicated himself because some people, the young group, they came to the new school, they call themselves devils. I'm like, no, you're supposed to be a red devil,
Yeah, you're
a
blue
blue
devil.
devil.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? Let's go into that there. You also need to be commended because you deal with handicapped students.
Yeah.
How is that challenging for you?
Well, I mean, right now, I subbed for a long time. Now I'm an attendance counselor. I've been an attendance counselor for 4 years. I actually, when you say handicap, you're saying like...
Those that have special talents.
Yeah, well...
See, I don't look at handicap as back when you and I was in school.
Right.
They put them in a special class.
Right. They still do that.
I speak of
They
it
still
in
do
the
that.
aspect of they have extra talents.
Right. No, well,
and need a little more cohesive individual
they need
attention.
A little bit more patience. That's what they need. You got to be a little patient with them. But good to go back, like when in '98, when I said I sat there and waited for them to kick the door, and they never kicked the door in. It kicked in. You got a college degree. What are you doing? So I went and got a job. I worked for Essex County Mental Health for 7 years before I went into the school system. So like I said, I was lucky. I didn't catch nothing that would hinder me from, using my
Getting
degree.
your license and
Right, using my degree to my advantage. So I worked for Essex County Mental Health as a case manager for adults with mental illness. And, I would go out, link them to different services, Social Security, like behavioral health programs, Medicaid.
make them along the way, help them along the
Right,
way.
make sure they're taking their meds. So I kind of dealt with adults with mental issues. So, dealing with kids who they have issues, but they haven't got to that level yet. But if they don't get the help they need, everyone's going to be out in the community, walking around trying to figure it out.
What would you say if you were asked, what was the most essential lesson that you learned from then to now, and then being blessed to have a documentary with Jason Williams and LeBron James? What would you say to a kid that envisions this and you didn't, and it happened, came to fruition?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I would tell a kid just stay focused, man. Despite all the obstacles that's put in front of us, especially in certain neighborhoods that we live in, and we walk out and we see different things every day, and you're walking that same path for 5, 10 years. You see the same people in the neighborhood, and in your mind you think this is gonna be me once I become an adult. Because some kids think like that, like they see these people every day and they think this is life. And it's not life until you meet you. That's why I say every kid needs a mentor. They should have somebody in their life that comes and gets them from their neighborhood, takes them somewhere and let them see something different. Because if I see this every day, and I commit negativity, in my mind, I might not think I'm doing something wrong because everybody in my neighborhood is doing it.
It's the norm.
It's the norm, but it's wrong. But I've been seeing it for so long, I think it's right. Conditioned. And I think I think they understand it, but I don't think they want to understand that. Like a lot of these kids are conditioned to do the things that they're doing because nobody has showed them nothing different. I didn't get on an airplane till I was in the 10th grade. I was playing basketball. Basketball got me on an airplane. Basketball took me out of Newark. If I didn't play sports, I probably would not know about anything outside of Newark, New Jersey. You know what I mean? Basketball gave me that outlet. And I'm not saying basketball is what everybody needs, because everybody got different talents.
Everyone has to use their vehicle. But also, I have to throw into the mix that you had an individual by the name of Steve Cole. That was very
That's who gave me
instrumental
the job I have now as a coach.
Your exposure too. I would like for you to speak of him.
Oh man,
he's down in Mississippi now?
Yeah, I talk to Coles maybe I give it every other month maybe. Him and Mr. Stewart, they're still influential. Like they always gave me advice. They never judged me. That's why I respect them. I had caught a charge back in I was in college back in '88. I got probation or whatever. So now it's time. I saw Mr. Blue. I used to bring kids to his he used to run a summer league for Newark Public Schools at Central. So I used to have my zoo crew team in there. And one day he said, "How would you like to coach at Central?" And I'm like, "Coach at Central?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm winding down. I want to bring somebody in that really focused on the kids in the community." And I was like, "Nah, Blue, I don't think I want to do that because it's going to take me away from the community. Now I'm going to be positioned in a place and I don't have interaction with all the kids." He said, "No, this would be better. Now you can get the kids to come where you are and you can focus on their education. You can make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do." And I thought about it and I said, wow, I can do that. So I put my paperwork in because I had my college credits. I put my paperwork in to be, I was working at mental health at the time. And my paperwork got denied because I had a charge. So I told Coles, Mr. Stewart, they was like, "Oh, well, you just be a volunteer. We won't put your name on no paperwork." I went downtown, and Annette Williams was over recreation at the time. Right. She was over recreation for the city, and I got much respect for Ms. Williams. I told her what was going on, "Ms. Williams, I'm trying to get in. I got a charge." She said, "Well, how old is the charge?" And this was 2003. I was trying to get in, so the charge was like 16 years old. She said, "Get it expunged." I said, "Expunged?" She said, "Yeah, just go down, get the paper." And I followed the process. A year later, I did the expungement. I reapplied. I got in. And Mr. Coles was like, "We really want you to be the head coach." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna wait Blue out. Like, I'm not ready to be head, And the next year we went to the state finals. No, it's funny because my first year at Central, the varsity was 0-18. I didn't coach the varsity. They was 0-18. They didn't win a game. I was going through it because I wasn't used to being around that type of basketball. And the next year, the varsity won 4 games. The next year, they won 8 games. So now, I was the freshman coach. My freshmen were seniors now. They went to the state final. They won 22 games. My freshmen that I had freshman year, when they became seniors, they went to Rutgers. They lost in the state championship to Hattonfield, who had Zubek, who played at Duke, the big 7-foot kid. And I was like, wow, we made a transformation. Every year we got better. You know, some of my kids transferred in because I was at Central and it helped. And after that, Blue said, I'm stepping down. He went out. He didn't win the championship. He won the sectional. He won the conference championship. And Coles and Mr. Stewart came to me and said, we want you to be the coach. And I'm like, yeah, they sat me down. They talked to me like, we want you. You're a Blue Devil. You're a Blue Devil, You're a Blue Devil. So I said, yeah, I'll take the job. So this was 2006. My first varsity year was season 06-07. And we went to we won like 12 or 13 games that year. We went to the state tournament. I've been in the state tournament every year I've been at Central, which is, I pride myself on that because, that's your goal to get to the state finals. So I've been the coach there ever since. And Mr. Coles, man, I used to get on him because Coles used to hoard all the hoodies. He got all his stuff in his office. I'm like, Coles, get his stuff to the kids. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, man, we not winning. We losing. I'm not giving them kids. It's not yours, Coles. It's for the kids. So, I have a good relationship with Mr. Coles and Mr. Stewart was the principal
He's a
at
Blue
the time.
Devil for real.
Oh, man, he's a Blue Devil for real, man. My assistant coach, the Devil, they got it at center court. And, they always say Coles look like the Blue Devil because he got that little face and whatever. He used to be like, go stand on Mr. Coles. And they used to be like, Mr. Coles. That's what he called the Devil, Mr. Coles. But
Mr. Coles.
Yeah, but again, we going back to where there was pride. The school system, most of the people that worked in the school system went to school in Newark.
What does that mean if you went to that school, you think? Have you seen that throughout all sports or just basketball?
Well, I really just focused on basketball and football, but
you think it's a different culture now?
Yeah, there's no pride, man.
I think some pride came back to West Side for sure.
Well,
Gary Taylor's up there.
Well, he's retired now.
Brian Johnson, Brian Logan over the Weekway.
He's at Weekway.
Fahim Ellis.
Right.
Now who's at Barringer now?
I don't know who our athletic director is, Mr. Brogdon, but I don't know if he went to Barringer. I don't know if he went to school in Newark.
And the East Side?
Side, I don't know who the athletic director is down there. Then Shabazz Cologne is the athletic director, but I don't.
Who?
His name is Cologne. He used to teach at Raphael Marin, Louise Mills Marin. He's from the North Ward, but I'm not sure. That's what I mean. Like,
so you think that means a lot?
Yeah, even with the teachers, when you got, if you're my younger brother, and and when you grew up in the community, you went to the community school. Now
True.
These kids go all over the place. That's why a lot
of
these
kids go to
a
winning team.
No, I'm talking about even educational wise. Even if you didn't play sports, if you lived in that community,
that's where you had to go.
You went to Central.
That's where you had to
go.
So
if I got a younger brother and certain teachers, and they bring, let me see your schedule. You got Miss Johnson, you got Miss Hill. Oh, no, Miss Johnson, cool. This all you got doing, Miss Johnson. And then you come in and McCray. Is Shawn McCray your brother?
That's it.
And you
label.
Yeah.
Can't get away with nothing.
Right. So now it's like, oh, she know my family. Like kids come into school now, and I'm good with last names, and I'll be like, wait, what's your mother's name? So they grew up. They come back. Oh, my mother says she know you. Now you have a relationship with that kid because they feel like, oh, he know my parent. Or, if the parent said good things about you, now it's like the kid, they take to you.
Yes.
And that helps. It helps when the kids come in, one day they laughing, smiling, and then he come in the next day, what's wrong? Because you always used to see that kid cheerful.
And you have, now you don't have to break down the wall.
Because you already have a relationship.
You can talk to the kid.
Right, and it's like, what's wrong? Oh, no, something wrong. It's not you. And you jokingly trying to get it out of them. Then they like, oh, last night my brother got shot, or my mother got locked up, or my mother's sick. Now you get the real story. So now when they come there, oh, well, what this kid? What's going on with this kid? Why he always? Listen, let me tell you.
That someone doesn't have any ties or relationship.
Right. So we need to have relationship with our children that especially if we work with them, you have to know. I used to pick kids up and I drop them off, and then I see the parent and I'll be like, I see the community. I'm like, dang, I got to stay on this kid because.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow I might not see him. He
True.
might be like, no, I'm going over here with them. And I already know what they're doing. I don't want you to go over there with them. So look, I'm going to be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Make sure you're ready. And you're going to be with me all day. But at the end of the day, I got to drop you back in that community.
True.
And now it's like, damn, I hope I see him tomorrow, or I'm picking him up on Monday. I hope everything okay, you know. And,
You didn't just throw it off.
right, and people don't understand. They don't have compassion for a lot of these kids. And a lot
Well,
of
do you
these
think
kids,
because it wasn't given to them? See, I've always had the concept.
that could be part of it too.
Let me ask you something that you might like. Every teacher or every educator that I ever had, high school, college, even service, that was hard on me, I have the abundance of respect for them now. Those that were adults that were afraid to be an adult,
You don't respect
I
them as
speak.
much.
That's
But
all.
you don't have that same relationship with them though. And they
speak.
might not know why. But they might know why, but
It's not easy to be an adult sometimes.
But people are like, I used to when I first started my zoo crew, I'm part of the zoo crew. Most of my kids went to Avon because that's the area I lived in, Bergen or Avon.
Okay.
And I had kids from that community, so I would pick the kids up. I had a yellow bus with zoo crew basketball on it. Like because we got to get around, you know what I'm saying? So it was a few people at Avon that had a problem with me, and I never understood why. And then I started to say, maybe because I'm zoo crew, they think I'm selling drugs, they think I'm picking these kids up, but I'm doing right by the kids. So, and I kid you not, maybe 2 years ago, man, I was in ShopRite. And it was this woman, man, she used to always give me a hard time. And every time the kids just come back and be like, oh, Miss Perkins said this about you. I said, gang, drugs, do you see who's around when I'm picking you up? Do you see any other guys? So one day I saw her in ShopRite, and she was like, oh, how you doing? She spoke to me. She never used to speak. She worked, I think she finished at Barringer. She's retired now. And she said, I just want to apologize. And I'm like, apologize? What you mean apologize? I had the wrong picture of you, blah, 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 blah. You still working with these kids, da, 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 da. And I just said, thank you, you know, and I didn't go into why you thought the way you throw it, you know, and we just walked away, and I thought about it. I said, and deep down inside, I always knew this lady had a problem, but I never knew why, and I never asked her.
You kept going.
I kept going because you probably got the same problem a whole lot of other people, because they don't know me, like you said.
People know of you.
They know of me, and you don't know the type of person I am. I really care about these kids. I had kids sleeping in my living room, man, like 15 kids.
But that's what we went through growing up.
On the weekends, I got to go to, ShopRite wasn't there, Pathmark or whatever, to go get food, and Sunday night, they leave, I open the refrigerator, I got to go back shopping for myself.
For yourself.
You know what I mean? And I didn't complain about it. It was a struggle, yeah, but to keep these...
He makes the way.
Right. For the weekend, y'all come over here, we gonna hang out, y'all can play the game. I had a 2-bedroom, I ain't had no wife or nothing at the time. You could come over to keep them out of trouble, because I know the neighborhood they was in is
conducive to it.
It's trouble. And some of them got caught up with it, and I don't judge them. You know, I still get phone calls from jail, from guys, I'm locked up. My number been the same since 2001. So a lot of kids still have my number, and they be like, your number's still the same? Yeah. So I don't judge people, and to go back to Mr. Coles and Mr. Stewart, they didn't judge me. They knew my past. They didn't care about that, because they knew deep down inside he has sympathy for these kids. Right, and he's from where I'm from. I think Coles was from Hayes Homes. I'm not sure where Mr. Stewart was from.
I think so.
But they was from the neighborhood, so they understood the neighborhood. And I think people sometimes people be on the outside and they don't really know what's going on inside. Like, I hate when people say, where are the parents? Where are the... I know guys who had the perfect parents and was in the streets because they wanted to be.
Why?
Because they wanted to be. They wanted that. Like we want to be with the 2-household parent, the nice home. We want to be there. But then it's like
the opposite. You want
it's like
that
rappers want to be in the streets. Like
we'll use the example, Ja Morant. That's a great subject.
Right.
How is it we're going to omit him? You've made it.
You made it.
But you want to come back and be accepted? Can you explain that to me? Because that's the way I looked at it. I said, okay, you made it out. But now you come back and you're toting guns, you're doing this, you're hanging with this one and that one.
And you're making enough money where you could get these guys jobs. They can get them their license so they could carry the gun to protect you. Why are you carrying the gun? Like I never understood.
You got to explain that to our audience because I have not come up with the concept of all of a sudden now you want to be this guy.
You want to be accepted. I don't know why, because I've never been a guy.
Did you go through that when you was?
No, I've never been a guy that wanted to be accepted. I was always the same person through my whole, like, where I'm at now. I never changed on anybody, whether it was sports, politics, the streets. I was who I was, and people know. Every time somebody say something like, "Oh, I heard some good things about you," like, okay, that's good. People are talking good. I never, like, if I saw you, it's always respect. What's up, Pooch? How you doing? And keep it moving. It's never like, oh man, I don't mess with that guy over there, man. You know, I mean, I never gave a bad vibe. If I didn't interact with you, I didn't interact with you.
I didn't know you.
I didn't know you.
I'm the same way.
Right, and like I said earlier, it's that how I survived if I kept the same people around me.
Yes.
I didn't try to vent, oh, I'm gonna go be with them. Nah, these my guys. If I'm gonna go do something.
You know that's funny. You should have seen yourself. You said, I'm gonna go over there. It's upset.
Right.
No,
I'm not going. I don't want to be with. They can have it. Even if my friends, if you know who you can hang out with, like you know who. If I go out with him, I gotta watch him because he get drunk. He start. I don't want. I'm not going out with you because I'm not babysitting you. You know what I mean? If we go out as a group, then somebody else is gonna watch you because I'm not watching you. So we're not gonna go out together. But you're still my man.
I got to go to this now. Before you started the Zoo Crew, there was the Avenue, and what was the other one?
The
fellas,
Lollipops. The Lollipops.
Okay, and was the fellas Irvington?
Nah, the fellas was the Lollipops was like the fellas.
Teen Streets.
Fairmont, somewhere around there. The Lollipops and the fellas was somewhere in that area. I know the Avenue.
Oh, it was called the Boys, I think. When
the
you
Boys was East
That's
Orange.
Irvington.
The Boys was Irvington, but East Orange was the Brazilian Boys. The
What?
Something. They had something up in East Orange too.
You got to explain this for my age group that's watching the show because Avenue was around my time. I know those guys. We grew up. They still partners till this day. Still holding events like you did. But was that circulating when you grew up and you heard of them?
Well, I never heard of the Avenues or the Lollipops.
Till you went up the hill?
Till I went to St. Rocco's. The Avenues was all, South Orange Avenue. What was
teen
that?
streets.
14th, the number blocks. That was the Avenues, West Side Park area.
Right.
They had that whole little. And my brother lived on 13th Street. I didn't know he was my brother, but I found out from going there. But he was part of the Avenues, and it was just crazy. And then walking home from St. Rocco's, that's why I said around Fairmont, Littleton. I think that was the Lollipops because they used to give us problems sometimes when we walk home. And we. And then when I forgot
Now this is the Zoo Crew.
No, this was when I was living in Hayes Home.
This when you was a kid.
When I was 13, 14 years old going to St. Rocco's, we used to walk home. Sometimes we took the 5.
Down 14th Avenue, yeah.
Down 14th or 15th
Go
Ave.
across.
And cut through Camden Middle. And,
that's right.
And we home, you know what I mean? But we used to encounter some guys around there and, we wouldn't walk that way sometime and then we'd go this way, whatever. But yeah, you had to watch where you walked. But you wasn't going to get shot. It's going to be a fight. You're going to get jumped or you and your friends going to be fighting. Now, they're going to shoot you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or the day after.
But they're going to shoot you now.
Well, did that come about when you was 23 or
no,
after you, after you?
No, this was when the gang stuff came here. Probably 98, 99, 2000. The gang, when I say the gang.
How old were you about that time, 2000?
2000, I was 30, I was 33. 34 in 2000. Yeah, I had just got out. 98, I stopped being, I was still hanging. I wasn't, doing nothing.
But that was the social dynamics at that time.
Right. So
everybody was here, there, everywhere. And as we stated, if you was in the flow, you was in the know. Right. You didn't have to be in it, but you looked the part.
Right. But the Bloods and Crips.
That came way later. That's that East.
Yeah, but that came
East
late 90s.
Coast. West Coast mentality.
Yeah, we didn't have. We
didn't have that on the East Coast.
But we used to be in. That's what I'm saying. At 21, 22, we knew what was going on in the world outside of Newark or New Jersey. I watched the news. I read the Starlet. I was in tune with what's going on. We always said that stuff not coming here.
Right.
we too smart for that.
Do you think the music brought it in?
I think it did. The music played a part. The federal government, not the federal government, people getting locked up and getting in the feds and going to different places and interacting with a lot of that stuff came from the jail. And when jokers got out of jail, they started the fractions here.
I got you.
You know what I mean? The different sets. Like they went to jail, came back here, and now this is what we're gonna be.
I got you.
Now that whole community is Crip.
Got
it's
you.
blood, but it's 10 different sets of the bloods. Like
this corner, that corner.
Right,
yeah.
But you 7, he's Shawn, he's 252, he a bounty hunter blood, but all y'all blood, so it's different, and y'all beef with each other.
Do you know what I noticed?
I never understood that.
Let me say this to you. It's funny that you said that there because I was blessed to have the first gang unit in the state of New Jersey. And when you would see guys from the West Coast that was migrated here, they did not acknowledge certain things.
They didn't, right.
And now it was a diabolical effect inside the prisons. And I tell people to this day, the things that I saw, it wasn't Oz on TV. Very, very real. Very, very life-changing to make you think and observe, because this second to that second, that quick it would change. And you could be finished for life or maimed for life or killed.
Right. Over a handshake. Over a sign.
A color. It's like
color, yeah.
what you said.
But it's funny you say that. One time, you know, because Suge Knight, Double I, he was Inglewood, blood
California
or whatever.
or Inglewood, New Jersey?
Inglewood, California. Tretch was Double I, blood. So he, you know, they interacted, him and Suge Knight. Suge Knight was here in Newark.
No.
He was here in Newark.
Doing what?
Promoting something. He was with Tretch, so they took him to the Go-Go bar, but he came on Chadwick.
He went to the Go-Go bar.
He came on Chadwick. People tried to piece him, whatever set. He was like, what is that? Like you just said, in the prison. People coming from LA, and now they migrating with people here on the East Coast, and they're like, what is that?
That's a way of life out there.
And Suge Knight was like, nah, I don't know what that is. And it was like, oh, so they probably faking over here. They done brought something over, you know what I mean? Because it originated from the West Coast.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, but I understand.
But it's true.
Right. And it's like, he don't even acknowledge it, and he's one of the big guys in the West Coast. Like, so I never was in tune with the gang stuff. Like, you know, I know people on both sides, but I never thought to like join anybody. Yeah. Like, you know, and they like, oh, you had status. People already know. Man, I'm not getting involved in that, man. Getting caught up in somebody else's stuff, and I don't know what's going on. But it was a little bit more controlled when it first came here. Now,
is the guy Tretch still on this coast?
He's around. He's doing a play or something. They doing New Jack City live, like on Broadway. It's not on Broadway, but they go to different cities and act out New Jack City. Yeah, he's in that. I don't know what character he's playing, but I follow him on Instagram. But when he's here, he comes. You know,
Really?
He still comes around. You know, yeah.
How do you feel about all of the new development that's going on from the individuals that came from the hip hop community in this city?
Well, I mean, I'm not really big on it because, you know, Newark is an urban city. You know, we have a lot of people here, low income. I think they say the median income here in the city of Newark is like $34,000, $35,000. And the rent that they're trying to charge for a lot of these places, I'm trying to understand who's going to live there. You know what I mean? Because it's hard for people when you're trying to rent a 2-bedroom for $2,000 and things like that. Like, I'm not understanding that, and I'm looking at all the public housing that they done took down and closed and boarded, and the land that's just sitting there, and they haven't built any public housing on that land. Like, are you trying to force the low-income people out of the city? And I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of.
But we have a black administration throughout
most of the. We've had a black administration. Except for, I think
Through-
it's Indonesia or whatever you was.
Amnesia, but through
Most of my life has been the black administration.
throughout most of urban America is black mayors.
But I don't understand the logic. I don't know. You know, that's one of the reasons I ran for.
I was just getting ready to
I
lead
ran
to
for
that.
councilman because I think the resources that's needed in the community are not put in the community. And my thing was, I'm not a politician. You know, I'm more of a people person, and I don't think politics. You're supposed to be a people person. That's just me from running the 3 times that I ran and interacting with different people and people telling me you can't make a change. And I'm confused as why I can't make a change if I'm creating legislation.
If I am representing those that have voted me in.
Right, because resources come across the desk. I mean, you align with the state, you align with the federal government, so there's grants and all different types of stuff that comes into City Hall that's not put out in the community. I don't think that can help people in the community. And that's one of the reasons I ran, to try to help the community. And people was like, you're not going to be able to help the community. They're going to change you. How? I said, I don't know how to be nobody else.
Well, what did you learn from running those 3 times? Truthfully.
Truthfully, that politics is not for the people. It's not for the people.
Whoa.
I'm just being honest. Like, just from running and.
So the cliche that's always said, power for the people, is not to the people, with the people, and by the people?
I don't think so. From what I've learned. I mean, somebody might have a different opinion, but I can't. I'm in Newark every day. I'm on 6th Street, 16th Avenue. That's where my store is. I have not seen a change in that neighborhood since I've been living in projects.
What about, I said this the other day, Chadwick, West Side and 10th Street, certain geographical settings and cultivation will not alter because that's the identity of the community. I'm not going to say necessarily the community.
I get it, but that's the way it's.
But is that by design for when the filmmakers come in and
could be
need a certain
look,
nostalgia?
Yeah, but you can.
I try to give it that, because you can always make it nostalgia.
You can make, because they have studios with it. Like they about to build down Seth Borton. I mean, the Lionsgate. I mean, $100 million. I mean, I hope it brings jobs. And what kind of jobs? You talking security, low income paying jobs? I mean, what type of jobs is it going to bring where people can really live? You have to have 2 or 3 jobs now to survive in Newark. You know, in
America.
In America, yeah. So I mean, I'm with development, but I don't know. I don't think it's for the people. I mean, we have more development going up than we have actual programs for children. You can
Do you think there's a disconnect somewhere?
No, I think
from your age group to the age group now, for us being cognizant of civics that's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a disconnect. But I think.
But they have the phone.
I think social media plays a part. I think just the phones. I think all that stuff plays a part because it's so many things you can do on that phone.
Okay.
And a lot of people has lost. We had to think. I'm being honest. We had to think. We had to figure things out. We couldn't type something in the phone and tell us. I had encyclopedias in my house, in the projects. You know how people ordered the encyclopedias, you pay monthly?
Pay monthly, yes.
My mother used to tell me, I'm spending money on this stuff. If you need to know something, you better open the book and look in it. And I had to look it up. This means, okay.
Stop.
It's crazy now.
You're of my era, whereas you had to go and pay the $3 to get the library card there for Jones Street.
I used to go on Hay Street. I used to be there. I used to get the free lunches from there when I was a kid.
They don't have to do that anymore.
No. I can sit here right now and we could look up everything in the world that we're looking for right on that phone. And it's sad. And some people can't. Numbers, I used to know. Anybody that I interacted with on a regular basis, I knew their number by heart. Home
Not
number.
now.
What? You can't remember nothing. I'd go in, type in your name. I don't even know your number. I just see your name and hit call. I don't even know what your number is.
We're going to round this up to this here. You've covered so much. You've been blessed to have seen far beyond your years, experienced far beyond your years, and now you're giving back far beyond your years. What would you say to young people that you have not physically touched but have heard you here today? And what would they take away from the fact that you've had the sweet and the sour? What would you parlay to them besides for keep going, but I'm going to give you a bullet? Those that you know that are for you, those that are consistent, it's not how much you know, it's how much you care.
Right.
I'll let you take the show and end the show on that there.
No, I would tell the, I mean, just, it took me till I was 29, 30 years old to understand the route I want to go. It took something to happen to people around me to make me understand that if I continue to do what I'm doing, it's not going to be good. You know, if I stayed the course, and sometimes sometimes things got to happen in your life for you to stay the course. You know, because I played basketball and I went to the streets because I wanted to go to the streets. I didn't go to the streets because my home situation was messed up. I had a great mom, did the right thing. I got a younger brother and sister that looked up to me. So the foundation was set. You just gotta, you know, stay focused on what you want to do in life. Like I said, it's a lot of obstacles out there, especially if you're growing up in urban America. And if you're not growing up in urban America, it's obstacles everywhere. You know, just dealing with peer pressure. You just gotta find your niche, man, and stay that way. And if it don't work, don't like turn around and try something else. Sometimes you gotta keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because I'm gonna tell you, man, I've been pushing with these kids since, I mean, I had my first team at 16, but you know, I went to college and then I started doing other things. But since '96, I done worked with thousands of kids, man. It's a struggle, man. If I didn't have the upbringing that I had and just the perseverance to do the right thing, I think I would have gave up a long time ago, man. I think we gotta understand that there's gonna be challenges in life, and we can't let those challenges deter us from what we're trying to do. You know, you gotta keep pushing, man. Right now, I'm still pushing. I'm 56. I'm still learning. I don't know everything, and you gotta listen to people that you trust. You know, it's people that's in your corner, then it's people that's not in your corner. You gotta be able to decipher who is who. And we're gonna fail, man. Failure, if you fail, doesn't mean like life is over. We're gonna run into obstacles and we're gonna fail, and sometimes when you fail, it shows you what you might need to do different. You know what I mean? So I just keep pushing, man, and try to figure out what you want to do in life, and just, you know, be humble, man. Humble yourself, because if you don't know how to humble yourself, life will humble you, and that's a fact. Like, and be good to people, man. I mean, I ain't saying be good to everybody, but just be respectful to everybody. You don't got to deal with people every day, like different people you're gonna run into. You know, decipher who is who. You know, and don't let nobody use you, man, because if you let people use you, you might not get nothing out the deal, man. So just keep pushing, man. That's it, man. I mean, I always tell, and if you play basketball and we're all not going to the NBA, I had dreams of going to the NBA, it didn't work out. But like my coach, and when I went to junior college, I asked my coach, I said, Coach, what do I need to do to be eligible? Because I'm only here to play basketball. This is what I told him, and my coach told me, he said, you just here to play basketball? And he's like, yeah. He said, well, this is what you need. But what about when basketball stops? Because it can get you a degree, and then you can use that in life. And I never forgot that conversation. This was not a guy that looked like me. And he didn't come from where I came from, and he's telling me, you got to focus on what you're going to do after basketball. And I always tell people, don't, use sports. If you play a sport and you get a scholarship, use it to your advantage. Don't never let it use you, because once it's over, you're going to have to do something else. I always tell my kids, I drop the basketball every year after tryouts. When I get my team, I drop the ball and the ball stopped bouncing. I say, well, now the ball not bouncing no more. What we gonna do after that? Because there's life after this. And they look at me like I'm crazy, but I think as they get older, they're like, okay, no more basketball. What am I gonna do now? And I always tell my kids, my seniors like now, after we lost our last game, I always tell them, you gotta have a plan when you leave in June, because you're leaving, you're graduating.
Go to the next level.
You're going, even if you don't
Start
go to college,
all over again.
You got to figure out life now, because it's going to be rough out there. And those people that was coming to your games, putting money in your pocket, buying you sneakers, now you ain't doing nothing. So what you think going to happen?
On that note, which was very, very sincere, very direct, profound, and proficient to young people, that your athletic God-given ability is your vehicle, but your keys are your education. You can start any vehicle that you choose to travel around. And on that note, I have to say to this author, mentor, native son of Newark, beautiful brother, I appreciate you coming so much, man.
I appreciate being
here. And don't be a stranger.
No,
don't be a stranger.
No, I'm definitely not. I like this. And if you get a chance, go on YouTube. Best Shot is the documentary I did with LeBron James and Jason Williams. YouTube, Best Shot. It's 8-part series. You're going to love it.
In closing, as I always do, before we can love all people, we must first love ourselves. I'm Poochie here with Coach Shawn Snoop McCray.